Sherilyn, and you're watching Sweep the League. Subscribe and share.
Rudy Campos Jr. here from Sweep the League. Hey, make sure you go and follow Sherilyn on Instagram. Just search official Sherilyn on Instagram.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League Radio.
What is up, everybody? It's Thirsty Thursday and a very tired, it should be tired Thursday for all the coverage that we were doing yesterday, bringing you guys the full coverage of the first round yesterday. Myself, Ben Bornstein of Project Spurs, Derek Irvin, and Coach Gio were with you from start to the end of the first round. Gave you all the picks, gave you all the insight. If you guys want to check out all the insight and all the wall-to-wall coverage that we provided, head over to our YouTube page. All you do is at Sweep the League TV on YouTube. Subscribe to it. Check out the videos we have on there. Check out the recap that we did on the draft. It was a great night. Appreciate everybody for joining in last night. It was a lot of fun. Definitely not fun for the Spurs fans from when it came to the number 8 pick with Rob Dillingham. We're going to get into that. We're going to kind of recap a little bit of what happened last night, give you some winners, give you some losers in the NBA draft. And we're also going to see exactly what the hell is going on with the Lakers organization. I have a little bit of an idea of what some teams should have done in that second round, now knowing exactly what Rob, not Rob Pelinka, but Ronnie's agent was doing there. It's kind of yeah, Rich Paul as the agent. I was going to give everybody a little bit of an idea here what to maybe do with that, but we'll get into that here in a little while. Thanks for joining Chris Gonzalez. The Lakers are winning the ship. They got their guy Bronny. LOL. Yeah, we're going to get into Lakers talk. That's sadly that was a difficult thing to happen. Steven Peterson talking draft losers. Sadly, our Spurs got a big D-. Steven, we're going to get into that too. We're definitely going to get into that too. Appreciate you joining us here on Sweep the League. Thanks for everybody joining us on Sweep the League. Hey, we got a little bit shout out to our sponsors here. MCS General Contracting and La Cocina Taco Truck, both sponsors of Sweep the League, major sponsors of Sweep the League. They both sponsored last night's draft show. Again, we brought y'all about 5 to 6 hours worth of coverage last night. Go back to our YouTube page at Sweep the League TV on YouTube. Check it out. But shout out to MCS General Contracting and La Cocina Taco Truck for being our sponsors here on Sweep the League. We got some special stuff coming up with them too as well. So be on the lookout. Renee Cantu, what's up, Renee? How you doing? LOL, LA Lakers. Seems like the Lakers are the hot topic right now. We are going to talk Lakers. I promise you guys, we're going to talk Lakers here. I got a little bit of not a bone to pick, but a little bit of an idea that I talked to Derek Gervin a little while ago, and I kind of want to get his thoughts on it too, just a little bit. Tar Heels, Tar Heels still suck, but you know what? One of them got drafted today, Tim, by the San Antonio Spurs. So you're gonna have to love him now because he is a San Antonio Spur. That is one Harrison Ingram. We're gonna get into some NBA draft talk, guys. Let's recap the NBA draft here a little bit. So last night was the 2024 NBA draft. The number 1 pick, obviously, was Zachary Risarcier. Again, this wasn't a draft that was going to, provide major superstars. In fact, there's only a couple of guys that a lot of us were thinking on the show that are possibly going to be all-stars. And again, don't get me wrong, don't take it, as, well, this guy's going to be great or anything like that. No, when we say all-stars, anybody can make an all-star team. I mean, I said it last night. Christian Laettner was an all-star for 1 year. You can have a good season, start to a good year, finish all the way half of the year playing really decent. Teams doing pretty good. You can make an all-star team. So it's not that big of a deal to make an all-star team. And I think in this draft, you probably have a couple of guys that can be all-stars. Is it going to be Risarcier? Probably not. Sarr? Probably not. I mean, if I'm looking at a couple of guys that could maybe make the all-star team, Dalton Connect is one guy. That's one guy that I mean, you're talking Dalton Connect who went at 17 to the Los Angeles Lakers, and it was kind of a head scratcher. You're talking SEC Player of the Year, and you're talking about a guy that legitimately, I mean, if you put him against anybody in this draft, probably top three prospect in the draft, top five talent overall on the draft board. That's where we kind of had him overall. We fully expected Dalton Connect to go in the top 10 of this draft. I think a couple of us had him actually in the top five. We figured he wouldn't get past Detroit at five. He slipped all the way to the Lakers. Conspiracy theory. All you conspiracy theorists out there, I mean, one of the best players in the draft dropping all the way to 17. You decide if all that's, legit or not. But again, behind the scene talks with myself and a couple of the other guys, just kind of not fishy, but it's just kind of crazy how one of the best prospects in the draft drops all the way to 17. Pretty crazy in my opinion. But nonetheless, Dalton Connect, I think, is one guy that can definitely be an all-star in this class. He's going to put up some numbers. Gives the Lakers a lot of improvement right there. They needed shooting. They needed scoring, something they were desperately needing. Couldn't rely on LeBron. Couldn't rely on AD. Austin Reeves gives you scoring in spurs here. Dalton Connect is going to be kind of like that Austin Reeves guy. You're going to have two guys that pretty much play the exact same way, both attack the basket, both can shoot the ball. Dalton can shoot a lot better than Austin Reeves, in my opinion, but it gives the Lakers a lot to work with there. We're not going to really mention that second round pick until later, until I tell you guys what I would have done if I was a GM in the NBA and I'm getting a call from Rich Paul saying, hey, don't draft Ronnie or else he's going to Australia. F that. I'm drafting him and I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with him later on in the show. But like I said, Dalton Connect is one guy that I definitely have as a possible, I mean, we're talking a possible all-star. I think he's a possible all-star there. For the Los Angeles Lakers. Other guys that could be an all-star in this draft when it's all said and done. I'm not, I mean, I kind of put a little asterisk on Alex Sarr because he can be the best player on that Washington Wizards team. I fully believe Kyle Kuzma is going to probably end up being moving by the time the season starts. They're probably going to have to just stay with Jordan Poole. If it's me, I'm probably trying to move Jordan Poole over Kyle Kuzma because I think Kyle Kuzma is a better player. But nonetheless, I think Kyle Kuzma is going to be the one they're in. But Alex Sarr has the potential in the Eastern Conference to put up some gaudy numbers. Again, it's the Washington Wizards. They're going to have to get scoring from somewhere. And I think that Sarr has the potential to put up some numbers there. But again, nothing that's going to be massive there. Other than those two guys, I mean, who do you guys feel has the potential to be an all-star? I know popular San Antonio 2-0 area. I mean, you're talking about Stephon Castle. He fits the Spurs. He fits the Spurs. Is he the long-term fit at point guard? We're going to see. He's going to be able to play off the ball a lot. I like that from Stephon Castle. But again, this whole entire draft was basically prospects that are going to be projects. It's going to be project picks on a lot of these guys. Zach Edey, number 9 to Memphis, made 0 sense. And I heard everybody kind of bitching about all the Zach Edey talk, but look at Zach Edey at 9. I mean, it gives Memphis a big man, which they did need. They weren't going to get Donovan Clingan, who was the best big man in this draft. So they needed to go with Zach Edey. What that does is that slides Jaren Jackson Jr. over to the 4 spot. That gives them really great rim protection. Jaren Jackson Jr. is a defensive player of the year candidate year in and year out. Pairing him next to Edey, yeah, Memphis likes to run. But, I mean, when you still got Jaren Jackson Jr., Marcus Smart, you've got Ja Morant, Desmond Bane. I mean, they're going to be able to run still in Memphis, even though they have Zach Edey. I think he does a fantastic job clogging the lane for them. It's going to be a good fit there. I don't expect him to get a whole lot of minutes, probably not a whole lot of run right away. I think he starts, but again, it's going to be kind of like limited minutes until he actually gets a little bit more conditioned. But decent. I mean, it was a decent pick. Overall, I mean, the draft kind of fulfilled most of what we talked about, and that is positions. It filled positions. It's going to be a role players type of draft. You aren't going to get any type of superstars in here. There's absolutely no way that you were going to get a superstar in here. And if you get a superstar, it's going to kind of be like MLB. They're going to have to go through a farm system. They're going to have to get a lot of reps in the NBA, especially with starters or anything like that. They're going to have to work their way up to that. You've got a couple of guys that are going to be a starter in the league this coming year. Majority of these guys are going to fill that role players lead, and that's not a knock because when you're fighting for an NBA championship, role players are key. We've seen that many times. Role players are key. And I mean, look at the San Antonio Spurs. Robert Ory, great role player for the Spurs. Very good run when they were in the championship runs. Mario Elie is another one. He played a major role in that first title when it came for the San Antonio Spurs. You've got to have the right role players, and that's where I think this draft will end up being is you've got a lot of great role players. We're going to announce some winners and some losers in this NBA draft as well. Let's get some of y'all's comments here. Spurs wasted that 45th pick. They didn't waste anything. You need to relax on that, Tim. No hate, Christian Laettner, 3 best college player of all time. 100% agree on that. Christian Laettner, I've gone on record as saying, that he is probably the best college basketball player in my generation, my lifetime. Yeah, I mean, you can go back to Lou Alcindor, obviously Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Walton. I mean, Bill Walton in college was massive, but in my lifetime, because I wasn't able to see Kareem and Bill back in college, I wasn't even able to see Pete Maravich in college, growing up, but I was able to watch Laettner, and I will say I give credit where credit's due. Christian Laettner is definitely top 3. I mean, I would always say maybe number 1, at least in my generation when it comes to college basketball players. Sith, what's up, man? Sorry you got that the cap from the San Antonio Spurs from Lids. Loved it, man. Loved it. Congratulations on that again. Congratulations on getting that Lids cap there. Separate. What's up, Swiss? How you doing, man? You guys got any comments? You got to drop anything? We'll talk about it. You want to talk about last night's draft? You want to have an intervention? Do you want to get stuff off your chest? I'm going to let you guys know now. Should I announce it? I guess I'll announce it. We are working here behind the scenes to provide a way for all you guys to call into the show, to get your voices heard, because if you're pissed off, we want to hear you're pissed off. We want you guys to be basically, just get your voices out there. You guys want to talk about stuff. We were on radio for a while there. I mean, we were on the radio airwaves, and we loved it when you guys called in. We took all the phone calls that we could. We were kind of on a time constraint here. We're kind of on a time constraint here, but we want to get you guys to call into the show. So we're working on all that. Should be up here probably, hopefully within a week or two, but we're working on that, guys, because we want to get your voices heard, man. This is a show for the people, by the people. Bronny should have gone to another team to do his own thing. Well, I'm going to get into that, Tim. Let's not jump the gun here. We're going to get into that. Juan Nunez's nickname will be El Mecánico. El Mecánico. I liked El Mecánico, but let's be real, man. Juan Nunez, Mark Cavazos, he's going to be the El Mecánico for the Austin Spurs for a little bit, and that's even if he comes. I have a slight feeling that maybe he's going to end up staying overseas, probably for one more year. Great kid, great passer, probably the best passer in this draft, but he still has so much more to work on, a whole lot to work on. So maybe a little bit of a draft and stash there when it comes to Juan Nunez. If not, he will be in Austin, so you may get some run there for sure. Seth is on here. I'm satisfied with our moves. I hope to see some trades before the season starts. It's a good possibility that they could make some trades. We're going to get into the Spurs talk here in just a little bit. Jackson was a role player. Yeah, Steven Jackson, role player in 2003. That's what I'm saying. Role players are big, especially when it comes to going for that title run. Ask Boston. I mean, the role players for them were, they came up huge, man. So, I mean, we're seeing it year in and year out. The Denver Nuggets had a great bench with Jeff Green, Bruce Brown. I mean, they had a fantastic bench. That's the reason why they went on that run and won the title the previous year. That's going to be dope. I'm assuming if you're talking about the call-in number, yeah, that's going to be awesome. We can't wait to get that going to get you guys on the air. Did Rich Paul help or hurt his agencies? Flat out, Chris, I think he heard it, man. I mean, he definitely heard it, because the thing with Rich Paul is if it's legitimately true, and it was stated on ESPN by Bob Meyer that Rich Paul was calling around telling teams do not take Bronny James, because if you do, he's going to basically play overseas. He mentioned Australia, but he's going to play overseas. Well, I guess we'll get into that. We'll get into that now. I'm going to get to these other things, but we're going to get into that now. So y'all going to do like ACC PM, then they call on the hotline. We're going to just have y'all call whenever y'all want to call in, man. We can take probably one call at a time, but at least it's something, right? Who was the biggest winner in this draft from all teams? We're gonna get into that here in just a minute. So let me go back to this here. So let's break this down here. Let's make this a spotlight segment here on Sweep the League. Okay, so the Los Angeles Lakers, we're going to make this a spotlight because this is definitely one that is a very popular topic right now. So, as we all know, the Los Angeles Lakers went out. They were able to get Dalton Connect in the first round, which again, head scratching. Dalton Connect is a top 5 player in this draft. One of the few guys who I feel can be an all-star when it's all said and done. I really feel Dalton Connect can be an all-star in this draft class. Is he superstar status? No. Is he, major star status? No. All NBA? No. And the thing you got to remember is I'm going to get the kickback about, well, Dalton Connect can score. He can shoot. He can get to the basket. He can do all the good stuff on one side of the ball. Well, tell me, has Steph Curry an all NBA player on the defensive side? Has he made an all defensive team? Do we go at Steph Curry when it comes to offense? I mean, defense? No. We talk about Steph Curry about his offense. James Harden, terrific scorer. Do we mention anything about his defense? No. So in today's game, if you're an offensive player, you're going to be good. You're going to be useful. You don't have to be a major defender to be one of the better players in the league. So if Dalton Connect can bring you nothing but scoring, which is something the Lakers need, that's why I feel that he has the potential to be that all-star player for the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, yeah, sure, you're going to have Bron there. You're going to have, Austin Reeves. You're going to have AD there. We're probably going to see D'Angelo Russell probably being moved. But I think Dalton is one of those guys in this draft that can be an all-star. So him going at 17, I mean, that's my feeling for that. But then you go to the second round. Now, this is the whole talk with the Bronny James thing. Does it hurt Rich Paul's agencies? I think it does. It sours the relationship between Rich Paul and other teams. Now, everybody knew if you didn't know that Bronny was going to be a Laker, then you must have been hiding under a rock somewhere. It was going to happen. He was going to be a Laker. They were not taking him at 17. There's no way about that. LeBron became a free agent to ensure that Redick was hired and to ensure that Bronny would be drafted. Now he's going to come back to LA and play. He wants the father-son duo, the first time ever in NBA history. First time in sports, no. I mean, for everybody that knows, Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr. playing on the same team in Seattle. So it's the first time in NBA history we'll have a father-son duo. But it all comes together. Who runs that Lakers organization? This is the most dysfunction I've ever seen the Lakers organization is right now. I mean, can you say Palika's in charge? I can't really say Palika's in charge. Bus, is she in charge? No. It seems like Bron is running the organization. JJ Redick just went on, the little tirade on his press conference, sitting right next to Pelinka. I don't give an F. I mean, as mentioned by Derek Irvin, and I totally agree, who in their right mind is going to talk like that in a press conference right next to your general manager with zero coaching experience? The only coaching experience he had is coaching a 4th grade team. Does Darvin Ham get away with that? Saying something like that in a press conference? Do other coaches get away with that? No. So why are we letting him off the hook? That's the problem I have with it. First off, Bron controlled the whole coaching hire, the whole hire of coaching. To me, I've said it before, Sam Cassell deserves that spot. That's Sam Cassell's job. You have Cassell there? You have me believing the Lakers are on the right path. But you go and coach JJ Redick, who, by all means, I have more coaching experience than JJ Redick does. Neither one of us has coached in college. Neither one of us has coached in the NBA. Yeah, JJ's played in the NBA. Okay, you got me there. I coached elementary and I coached kindergarten. I've coached high school. I've coached middle school. I've coached more than JJ has. So I should have thrown my name in the hat. It's again, it makes zero sense when it comes to JJ Redick being the head coach of Lakers. But hey, what Braun wants, Braun gets. So they go out and get Dalton Connect. Conspiracy theorists have come out and said that kind of fishy. Top 5 player in the draft just suddenly drops to number 17. Why couldn't he go, I mean, the Pistons at 5? They end up getting Ron Holland. Ron Holland, who was not even projected to be a top 10 pick in this draft, goes to number 5. Head scratcher. Could have gone to Charlotte. Charlotte takes Shajan Salone. Not a bad pick. I think Salone is going to actually be a very good NBA player. Is he going to be all NBA? No. I've had my thoughts on Salone. I think he could probably turn into a Giannis type of player. I think he shoots better than Giannis, but I don't see him being, MVP candidate left and right like Giannis is. Dalton Connect can easily go to Oklahoma. Make them just that much deeper on the perimeter. They pass on that. There's no reports that I've seen, and if they've come out, share them with me. But there's no reports that I've seen that stated as to why Dalton Connect dropped to 17. Are we thinking conspiracy maybe? Some people are. Some people are questioning that, how he gets to drop all the way to 17. Part 3, we've got the Redick hiring. You got the Dalton Connect drop. Part 3, Bronny James, number 55. He went right where I figured he would go in the draft. I mean, he's not A.J. Johnson, who was drafted, at 23 by the Milwaukee Bucks, where A.J. Johnson is literally, 6'5", 6'4", 160 pounds. This kid has zero reason to be drafted in the first round. Zero. There's no reason. And I think it's true, because if you draft AJ Johnson and even, 20, I picked 25, Pacomi Daria was drafted to the Knicks. These two guys, no reason in the first round. Now, Pacomi, I'll give you the last part of the first round. I will say that he's done enough work to get into the end of the first round, but really wasn't a sexy pick right there. But the AJ Johnson pick at 23 for the Bucks, 0 cents. 0 cents. The kid averaged 2 points a game, shot terrible. Whatever they saw in him, nobody else saw in him. Terrible. But we'll get back to that later when we give our draft grades on our biggest winners and losers. But back to Bronny. So Bronny at 55. Reports come out during the second round. Rich Paul is saying, you know what? No, don't draft Bronny. If you draft him, he's going overseas. He's going to Australia to play ball. They've already predicted and felt this is where he's going. So happened the Lakers only had 1 pick in the second round, that being number 55. Again, strong-armed. The league is strong-armed by LeBron James, dictating on, hey, you know what? I want my son to be a Laker. 100% believable, man. 100% believable. It's terrible that you see that happening. But here's the kicker, guys. If I'm sitting there and I'm one of those teams before 55, if I'm the Pacers, if I'm the Rockets, if I'm sitting at number 43 as the Miami Heat, hell, you know what? If I want to be a complete, and we don't cuss a lot on this show unless we're really getting after it, but if I wanted to be a complete asshole, I'm sitting there at number 48 for the San Antonio Spurs. Maybe I'm not drafting Harrison Ingram. Shout out North Carolina. Maybe I'm not drafting Harrison Ingram. Maybe I'm playing the bad guy and I'm drafting Bronny James. So what are you going to do? Threaten me that Bronny's not going to play for the Spurs? Who cares? You know what, LA? If you want Bronny that bad, trade me something for him. Why are you allowing an agent to dictate what you do? Personally, I'm drafting him because if you're calling me and saying, do not pick Bronny James, I'm telling you now, he will not show up. Guess what? If I draft you, I have your draft rights. So if you want him, come and get him. He's going to play overseas? No problem. No problem. Go play overseas. I'm all for that. But when he's ready to come back, he's going to be done in the silver and black. And I'll trade him and I'll cut him whenever the hell I feel like it. To see teams being bullied into not taking a player, which for all intents purposes, guys, there's no reason why any GM, any team, any VP, president of operations, there's no reason why anybody should be bullied by an agent. None at all. You really want this kid? Take him. And then you deal with the consequences later. It's the second round, man. I mean, we don't find very many gems outside of Manu Ginobili, Nikola Jokic. I mean, you see second round gems all the time. All the time. You see them all the time, but they're not very often. So play the hand. That's what I say. Play your hand. It's a poker move. It's a strategy move. We all played Risk. For all the young guys out there, if you haven't played Risk, it's a very long game. It's a campaign game. Be strategy. Play strategy, man. That's what you got to do. Let me get some of these comments here. We got some comments here. We'll get to that biggest winners in a little bit. Biggest winners of the draft was sweep the league. Yeah, I would say so. We were tired after that tip. We were so tired after that. JJ's favorite Duke player. If I had to pick one Duke player that I liked, man, I don't know, man. I would say coming from a Tar Heel, it's pretty bad, but I would say I had a lot of respect for Grant Hill. That was one. It's because they all know he will suck in the weak ass draft. Yeah, I mean, we know that for a fact. Question, Rudy, if the Spurs draft Castle teammate from UConn, imagine Wemby, big man from UConn and Castle plus a free agent. It's Tatum, Hoskins lineup would be it. I mean, it would be pretty decent. It wouldn't be a bad lineup at all. It'd be good. I was hoping that Cleveland got it at 4-4, Bronny. Cleveland would have been good right there. I think Cleveland would have been able to draft him. That would have been nice right there. If they could have got him and bring him back home. Obviously, he's from there. Empire Jeff TV, every agency does this. You know, every agency does do it. They dictate it. I mean, come on, man. We saw it with Eli Manning, demanding to be traded to New York. I get that every agency does it. They're going to force their hand. But Empire Jeff TV, where I'm saying is make them force that move. Take him. Why not? If you're calling me, I know where he wants to go. He wants to go to LA. My answer to this is, hey, Rich, how you doing? Hey, we're just letting you know, don't take Bronny because he's not going to play for your team. He's going to go overseas and not play for you. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, because I know where he wants to go, I'm going to take him and let's work out a deal. Let's try to work out a deal with the organization. That's my conversation with Rich Paul or any agent. It doesn't matter if it's Rich Paul or Bronny. It's any agent. So you know what? My focus is, okay, you're giving me a heads up already. You're showing me your hand. We know where he wants to go. You're showing me your hand. Let's play poker. Let's play now. Who's going to flinch? You know what? If you want him that bad, or you know what? The Lakers don't want to give me anything for him. No problem. No problem. We'll hold his rights. Doesn't matter if he plays for us. It's a second round pick. You're not going to guarantee a contract there. Doesn't have to guarantee a contract. For all whatever it is, go play for, Australia, go play overseas. Who cares? Doesn't bother me. I have no payroll coming out of my team payroll. That's why I'm saying don't allow them to do that. Don't allow them to do that. That's my problem with that, with the whole thing. But appreciate you, Empire Jeff TV, for jumping on. Appreciate you joining to sweep the league. I was seeing the same draft him, hoping he would go play overseas. And I mean, honestly, that's the worst thing that could probably have happened. You draft him, he goes overseas. Okay, no big deal. Maybe LeBron is a little bit upset at you, but Oh, well, who cares? It's a business. People don't understand at the end of the day, the NBA is a business. When you make a trade, you go and trade a person. I don't care if he's a fan favorite. I don't care if he's a superstar in the league. It is a business at the end of the day. I get a lot of flack with Jeff Garcia on Locked On Spurs. Shout out to Locked On Spurs. I get a lot of flack from people on his site, people that comment on there. They always say, you're always talking about trading whoever. I wouldn't trade everybody, but I'll take the phone call. If I've got a phone call, if I'm Brian Wright and I get a phone call and it says, hey, you know what? What if I offered you this for Wemby? 99.9% of you people are going to hang up the phone. I'm going to say, what's the offer? Because I know I'm not trading him. In my mind, in my heart, he's off the table, but you've got to take the phone call. You've got to take the call. If you don't take the call, you're not doing your due diligence. You're not doing your job right. You have to take the phone call no matter who it is. So again, forcing a player to not be drafted, man, that makes me want to draft him even more. Because now, you know what? Hey, it's not a first round pick, so I don't have to pay you. It's a second round pick. Don't guarantee anything. You want him that bad? Pay me. Pay me now if you want him that bad. Bronny needs to build his own legacy. He really does, but you know what? How are you going to build your own legacy if you couldn't even do it in college? He wasn't even a very highly recruited high school guy. There's no legacy to be built. Not at all. And now he's going to go to a Lakers team where, watch, he's going to get a 4-year deal, 3-year deal. He's going to be on the roster. He may play a little bit in the G League, but he's going to probably end up being on the roster. They want to have opening night. I almost guarantee you he's going to make the opening night roster. They're going to want to have that national media, that national TV showing, father and son playing. And don't get me wrong, fellas and ladies out there, I am not anywhere near, degrading the whole father and son thing. I'm a bowler. When I was able to bowl with my dad, I jumped up to the adult leagues at the young age of 15. I started bowling with my dad in tournaments and stuff. I loved it. I have no problems with a father and son tandem. Not at all. But you know what? Bronny doesn't deserve to be on an NBA roster. I worked my tail off to get to a certain area in bowling. But you know what? It's fine. Let him play. The Lakers organization is in shambles. And you're seeing it collapse right in front of your eyes. The Lakers will not be back to an NBA championship. And don't give me the whole in-season tournament crap. That's the biggest load of BS I've ever heard. Another participation type trophy. But the Lakers will not win another title as long as LeBron James is there. Saying it now. This is Sweep the League, brought to you by MCS General Contracting and La Cocina Taco Truck. We'll be back here in just a minute to give you some grades, who are the biggest winners, who are the biggest losers in the NBA draft. Also to talk to me about your San Antonio Spurs. Why did they trade at number 8? We'll tackle that here in just a little bit. We'll be back. A family is just like your home. It starts with a great foundation. MCS General Contracting can make sure your foundation is off to a perfect start. Whether you're wanting to build a pool, expand a patio, or build a driveway, MCS General Contracting should be your only call. They provide top-notch customer service and will stand by their work 100% of the time. Why trust the rest when you can just call the best? Build the best foundation now for your home and your family, because a good foundation is the perfect start to a happy life. Contact MCS General Contracting today at 210-774-9155. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League. Living in South Texas, we all love to eat, especially tacos. Oh boy, La Cocina Taco Truck should be your only stop every time. They are just a short drive away, located at 283 West San Antonio Street in New Braunfels, Texas. There is no order too big or small for the staff to handle. Whether it's the ever so popular street tacos all the way to the amazing quesadillas, La Cocina will satisfy your appetite, guaranteed. Head over to see them at 283 West San Antonio Street in New Braunfels, Texas. Make that short drive so you can be satisfied at La Cocina Taco Truck. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League. Welcome back to Sweep the League. MCS General Contracting, La Cocina Taco Truck. Appreciate you guys as sponsors of Sweep the League. I will be out at La Cocina Taco Truck this weekend. It is in New Braunfels. And you know what? Like I tell everybody, man, it's just a short drive from San Antonio. It's literally just a short drive to get to La Cocina Taco Truck. Go out there this weekend if you can. I'm going to be out there this weekend. Might be tomorrow or Saturday night, but we will be out there for a little bit, kind of hanging out with Louis and his staff. Again, great food, best street tacos, best quesadillas you've had. They can basically make, any order, whether it be small or big, they'll take care of you guys out there. And MCS General Contracting, the foundation is the most important part, whether it is building your home or starting that family. Foundation is the key. The Spurs know it all too well. They went and got that foundation piece. And Victor Wembanyama, well, MCS General Contracting is the best in the business. Like I said, whether it's a swimming pool, whether it's expanding the patio, whether it's adding a driveway, or you know what, in some cases, correcting a faulty driveway. They're doing it right the first time. They're not going to mess around with you. They're going to give you the best possible price. They're going to give you 100% customer service satisfaction guaranteed, and it's going to be done right. And if it's not done, Chris Leha and the boys, they're going to make sure to fix it. They're going to make sure that, it's complete, it's perfect. You'll never have to call them back because it's done right the first time. It's MCS General Contracting, both sponsors of Sweep the League. This next segment, Draft Grades, is brought to you by MCS General Contracting. So who are the biggest draft winners and draft losers? What do you guys think? So going over again, last night, we talked about, I'm not going to use the Spurs on this one. We're going to have the Spurs on their own segment that's going to be sponsored by La Cocina. But for right now, we're talking about the NBA draft winners and losers. Who were the winners last night? That is the question at hand here. Now, honestly, I really love two guys that were drafted. I'm going to start with one of them here. And one of them is the 30th pick, which was Baylor Shireman out of Creighton for the Boston Celtics. That, to me, was a draft winner alone. Now, Sam Hauser, we don't know if Hauser's going to actually be there going into Boston next season. I really feel he's not going to be there. He's going to get probably the bag. He's going to, secure the bag somewhere else. But where they lose Hauser, they gain Baylor Shireman. Shireman is a deep ball threat. He can shoot the lights out. And that is something that Boston, you saw, that's what they used this season to win the NBA title, using Drew Holiday, Derek White, Brown, and Tatum. They were able to kick it out when they were getting penetration to the basket. He's going to have a lot of fun in Boston. I think he's going to put up some good numbers in Boston. Baylor Shireman definitely is a winner. Boston Celtics came out on top of the NBA draft. For me, they get a very good grade. In my opinion. Also, another team to look out for who I think is a draft day winner is the Orlando Magic. And it's kind of funny because most people are giving the Orlando Magic a D. Why are you giving them a D? They went out and got Tristan Del Silva out of Colorado, another great shooter in this NBA draft. The whole offseason, we're talking about Orlando. The one person that we've seen being talked about going to Orlando is Klay Thompson. What does Klay bring to the table? Klay's a shooter. What does Tristan Del Silva bring to the table? Shooting. So I'm not understanding how most people are giving them a D grade when in all purpose, I mean, for facts, he's going to make them a lot better. He's going to get a lot of open jumpers. They're looking for shooting. They got a shooter. Now, if they went out and go spend money to get a Klay Thompson, it's okay. It's decent. You could have De Silva and Klay, one on each corner. Paolo Banchero, Wagner. Those two guys are your primary guys. They're going to be able to get to the basket. They're going to be able to kick it out to one of these guys. De Silva, if they go out and get Klay Thompson, again, Klay Thompson makes fits there too. But they needed shooting. So why the low grade for most people when it came to Orlando? I think it was a fantastic draft for the Orlando Magic. Even though they had one pick, it's still a winner for me. They filled the need that was really hurting them last season, and that was shooting. Philadelphia 76ers loved the draft, loved it. Jarrett McCain at 16, where I kind of felt, 17, maybe that was Dalton Connect there. They would have won high praise with me with either Dalton Connect or Jared McCain being drafted. Jared McCain, really good shooter. What, 41% on his 3-point attempts this season? I mean, the kid can shoot, and that's something that Philly needs. They need that 3-point shooter. Jared McCain, big winner. Philadelphia, big winner on last night's draft. I mean, if we're looking at other winners, Portland came out on top good. I love the Donovan Clingan, draft pick. They were never satisfied with Ayton at all. So Clingan is going to actually, I think, probably just take over for DeAndre Ayton. Does it mean DeAndre Ayton is on the move? Possibly. We may see DeAndre Ayton being traded. They also were able to get Denny Avgia from Washington yesterday. So Portland is actually stockpiling some pretty decent players right now. You got to remember, they have Scoot Henderson. They've got Shaedon Sharpe. Jeremy Grant is still there. They've also got Anthony Simmons. They've got a nice core building in Portland right now. I do like what they have. If they don't necessarily ship DeAndre Ayton out, DeAndre Ayton can fit really well with Donovan Clingan. Ayton does not like to be a low post guy. Clingan does. But I think one of those guys is going to have to end up coming off the bench. I really think with the Denny move that happened yesterday, we're probably going to see DeAndre Ayton on the move. He's probably going to be shipped off somewhere. Then you're going to see more like a Denny and Clingan type of front court that I would like. I do like that kind of front court as well. But again, if Chauncey Billups can make this work, he's one guy that can. If anyone can, it's going to be Chauncey Billups, is what I'm trying to say. Is if DeAndre Ayton, him and Billups had, a little bit of a fallout. They didn't see eye to eye, but hopefully this offseason they can maybe get on the same page and make it work. But I think Billups can actually make this into a very good situation in Portland. They were definitely a winner for me yesterday. Outside of that, I mean, there was some other teams that did some pretty good moves. I do like what Minnesota did. Obviously, Minnesota traded for Rob Dillingham. They were able to get Terrence Shannon, if not for the off-the-court issues, he's probably a lottery pick. Definitely probably top 13. So with Terrence Shannon, I mean, great defender. You're getting a great player from Illinois. Rob Dillingham is a scorer that Minnesota can definitely use. I mean, he's going to probably fit into that Mike Conley type scenario there where he's going to spell Conley for a little bit. But again, an explosive player, Rob Dillingham. I think Minnesota did a great job yesterday filling some needs. Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon, two great pickups by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Then you kind of look at other teams. I mean, I liked the Cam Christie move for the LA Clippers, getting him in the second round. I do like Cam Christie. The Pacers, they ended up making a trade in the second round. They ended up taking John Furphy from Kansas. They got Tristan Newton, Enrique Freeman. They did some pretty good work there. I think Furphy ends up making the roster probably as that 11th, 12th guy. He's going to spend a lot of time in the G League. Reed Shepherd at 3. Reed Shepherd it's tough for me because I think Houston could have gone in a lot of different ways. It was kind of the way that Derek and Gio and even Ben were kind of saying that the Reed Shepherd was going to be a rocket. I really felt they could have gone with a big man there. I really like the big man. I know Alperen Sengun is there. I really think they could have used another big man in Houston. They are solidified at the guard position. They have a lot of wings there. I think it might be a little bit too crowded there in Houston, but nonetheless, Reed Shepherd, great scorer. He's going to bring some shooting to that team. That's desperately needed there. But then those are some of my draft day winners. If you want to drop your winners in the comments, please drop your draft day winners in the comments, guys. I want to see who y'all felt are winners in the NBA draft. Now, when it comes to draft day losers. Let me get a couple of comments here before we get into that. Send LeBron to that talks house. Yeah, definitely can. Portland with the 7th pick. Yeah, we did mention Klingon. Rudy White, remember the big man in the West is in good hands, Wemby. Chet, Big C from Portland, Lively, and Edie. The future is in great hands. The big, Derek made a great point yesterday when he asked, asking Ben and he asked the group, is the NBA shifting more towards back to the big man? I mean, Joel Embiid's been MVP candidate for a while there. I mean, he's in MVP talks. Obviously, Jokic is in MVP talks. Jokic has a couple of MVP trophies there. Giannis is another big man, technically that is a big man. He's putting up MVP numbers. He's been MVP as well. So, are we seeing the league kind of transition back to big man status? I think so. I mean, you're right, Tim. Wemby, obviously in the West. Chet, obviously we're Oklahoma City. Klingon, I think, is going to be a really good fit in Portland. I think Chauncey Billups is going to make him one of their better players. He's going to really use him and use him to their advantage in Portland. Derek Lively has shown a lot of promise in Dallas. And Zach Edey, I think with Zach Edey in Memphis, it's going to take a little while for that to kind of work out. But I think Edey would be fine in Memphis. Again, he's not the quickest guy. And, a lot of people kind of bashed Edey and bashed Memphis for that. And they say he's very slow. Well, you're damn right he's slow. I mean, he's a slow guy. Every big man that gets switched off, which a lot of people were bringing up in college basketball, when he got switched off onto a guard, he was getting burned. He was getting blown by. Well, no S. Duh. He's a big man. He's a slow big man. If they do a switch off to a guard, do you not think the guard's going to take advantage? He's not going to be able to get. He's going to be able to get to the rim. Come on, think about that. Think about that. What Memphis did with Edey now is, like I said, they have another rim protector, one of the better defenders in the game, in Jaren Jackson Jr. It's okay if Edey gets blown by. You have backside help. It's kind of similar to the Spurs with Wemby. If they went out and got, Dalton Connect, and people are saying, well, the guy can't play a lick of defense. Well, who cares? Spurs need offense. And if he gets blown by, guy gets to the basket, well, guess what? There's a 7-4 problem that you're going to have to deal with. So it's okay. It comes back to everything like we've said. Some of the best players in the game, they're known for one thing. They're not known for both. Kawhi Leonard is probably one of the best, if not the best, two-way player in the game when he's healthy. He's got to stay healthy. When he's healthy, he's probably the best two-way player in the game. So, yeah, good point on that, Tim. Appreciate you jumping in those comments there. Again, let me know who your draft day winners, draft day losers are. I gave you my winners a little while ago. Draft day losers. This is it's tough, man. It really is tough. Loser, not so much. I mean, the Charlotte Hornets, they ended up getting Tejan Salon. They got KJ Simpson in the second round. I really like both of those picks for Charlotte, but are they winners in my opinion for that? I mean, I would probably give them a solid B minus, maybe a C plus on that grade. Salon's going to he's going to make sense there, but it's going to take some time for him to make sense and make a difference in Charlotte. They could have used a big man. I know they weren't going to take Edey right there, but I mean, they definitely could have used a big man. You had Klingon there. Klingon makes a lot more sense for Charlotte there, but I think what they want to do is they want to do a run and gun type of offense in Charlotte. They want to be fast. They feel Salon can help them, stay quick and just get out on the break. I totally get it. It's, it was SMU basketball from back in the day. It's a run and gun type thing. So I totally get that. I really understand that. But again, I mean, Donovan Klingon, he was right there for you to have. That's probably one that you should have taken. Detroit Pistons sitting at number 5, and you take Ron Holland. That was the first big surprise. The first big head scratcher was Ron Holland at 5. We figured that maybe possibly Holland might be on the move sometime in the offseason. There may be a trade in the works here, possibly. Mentioned yesterday was the possibility of maybe Ron Holland going to Philadelphia and bringing Tobias Harris back to Detroit. That was something that was mentioned on our show. Again, the Detroit Pistons taking Ron Holland. The Bobby Clipman pick in the second round via Minnesota. I would say that's a decent pick for them, but again, nothing huge. I think they're probably draft losers, in my opinion, when it comes to the Ron Holland pick at 5. So that was definitely not a good pick for them. In Detroit, Milwaukee, man. I mean, this is one of those where I'm drafting this kid, but he's not going to be ready for another 4 to 5 years, probably. Makes no sense why AJ Johnson was drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks at number 23. None whatsoever. AJ Johnson was probably right around that late second round, mid second round. So we're talking about what picks 48 on down, maybe is where you could have seen a guy like AJ Johnson go. It's one of those where it feels like he had a good combine, so he bolstered himself into the first round based off of a impressive combine workout. I mean, the combine does wonders. We've seen, that's why I say don't buy a lot into the combine, because in the NFL, the combine is trash basically. You just want to get measurements, you want to talk to them, and that's it. Don't give me the wow, he threw that ball 60 yards, 70 yards. Well, of course, nobody's on him. Oh, crisp passing, crisp passing to his wide receivers, sharp passes, put it right on the money. Well, there's no defender. Of course, it's going to look good. It's going to look awesome when you've got nobody trying to sack you, when you've got nobody defending your wide receiver, where you have, instead of this big of a window, you have this big of a window. So don't put any stock into the combine whatsoever. AJ Johnson was one guy who went into the combine, had an impressive combine, basically tricked Milwaukee into getting him. This is one that's definitely going to be a head scratcher for a very, very, very long time. Those are my two biggest, draft scratches on, head scratchers, because outside of that, I mean, you can maybe say the Devin Carter pick yesterday was kind of surprising for the Sacramento Kings, but then today we find out that Davion Mitchell is going to be traded. So now that Devin Carter was like, well, that makes no sense. Now it makes total sense as to why Devin Carter is a Sacramento King, because Mitchell's going to be gone. They're going to end up trading him. So yeah, that was a head scratcher there as well yesterday. But again, I can't really call them losers. Every other team in the NBA draft was, I mean, they filled needs is what it was. And this was a draft where you filled the needs. You had to, just fill up the holes. There wasn't going to be anybody here that was going to just mainly make you a 100% title contender right away. We're not going to see teams go from 25 wins to 45 wins because they drafted, one of the best prospects in this draft. There's no instant impact player to get you the David Robinson turnaround, the Tim Duncan turnaround, anything like that. There's no player like that that's going to come in and get you instant success when it came to this NBA draft. So we're going to talk a little bit about the San Antonio Spurs here. Last segment here for Sweep the League. Give me a couple seconds here. We'll be back from the commercial break. We are back. We've got one more segment here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to see if we can get one of the guys on here who wants to jump on right now. Let me get him on here. Coach Gio is wanting to jump on. He's got a little bit to say to everybody in the chat right now. So again, drop your comments in here, guys. If you feel that, you felt one team had a better draft than another one, if you feel like, man, if you felt like one of the teams was the biggest loser, what do you think, man? What do you think is going to happen for this coming up NBA season? Drop them in the link right now. Gio's going to be joining us here in just a minute. But when it comes to the San Antonio Spurs, obviously they took number one. They ended up taking Stephon Castle. They had the 8th pick. People were excited. Everybody had been talking about Stephon Castle to the San Antonio Spurs. It wasn't really anything new. I mean, it was something that we had been hearing all in the draft process. Stephon Castle, probably one of the number 1 or 2 guys on their big board. I had Stephon Castle number 1 on my Spurs big board. So seeing him drafted to the San Antonio Spurs was great. Great defender. I mean, his shooting has always been suspect. But again, when you come into the NBA, The shooting will improve. These coaches will be able to get you to improve your shooting. It's not a really bad shooting stance. It's not really bad mechanics or anything. I think he just needs to get a little bit more shots up. He's got to be able to create a little bit better on the perimeter, be able to get into a shot a little bit easier, but he can get to the basket. He's a very creative person. He's going to be a great teammate. He's going to bring it on the defensive side of the ball. Stephon Castle is going to make, some huge waves in San Antonio. Again, it's not going to add another 10 wins to the season as it is right now, as the way the Spurs are right now, bringing back the same team, adding Stephon Castle. I'm looking at probably 28 wins, 29 wins. Right now, we got Coach Gio joining us. Coach, what is up, man? You're about 56 minutes a little too late there, but I'll take you at any time I can get you, man.
Sorry about that, Rudy. I was watching,
You're watching My 600-Pound Life? Is that what it was?
Not My 600-Pound Life, but I had my phone down when I was watching the presidential debate, which was very interesting. So sorry about that, but I am here. Never late than never.
Better late than never. I guarantee you on that, man. You said you got something you wanted to say because I was talking about the Spurs here, but what do you got? What do you got to get off your chest? Is it Laker talk? Because I already went on my rant. We have 857 people live with us right now. So what do you want to get off your chest here? Because I'm sure they want to hear it.
Well, the whole Laker thing is ridiculous. And then his agent, Rudy, talking about, oh, well, if you draft him, he's going to Australia. Who cares? Who cares if he's going to Australia? I don't care if he's going to New Zealand, China, to go play with the Dragons over there. Who cares?
What do you understand what I was saying at the beginning of the show when I said, if I'm me and you're Rich Paul, you call me, hey, don't draft Bronny. He's going to go play in Australia. Okay, cool. Here's my card. I'm drafting Bronny James. Because why? If I draft him, Gio, it's a second-round pick. I don't pay him anything. But I hold on to his draft rights. So that I can dictate, you want him? Give me something. Whether it be cash consideration, whether it be, a pick, whether it be a 21-34 draft pick, I don't care. Give me something for Bronny James. Make him pay.
Rudy, I just don't get it. I understand it's his son, but wouldn't you want someone to be drafted, Rudy, that you actually want the player? They're just drafting him because it's LeBron James' son.
That's what I say. It's LeBron James, man. He controls whatever happens in this organization.
As I told you earlier, Rudy, there is a lot of nepotism in the NBA already. So to add this on top of this, but look, you know what? It could be a blessing in disguise. Maybe he gets there, he works his tail off. But Rudy, honestly, do you see him making the team?
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
Yes. Because, the scenario that I painted was he's going to be on the opening day roster for that night. That very first game, he'll be on the roster. Why? Because you're going to have media, national media. It's going to be a nationally televised game. Oh, my God. We're going to have Bronny James checking in first quarter, second quarter. And this is the first time in NBA history we have a father-son moment sharing the court. They're already writing the damn newspaper titles and stuff, man. I mean, everybody's already gushing over this moment. So that's why he's going to make the roster the first. Now, it may not be the whole season, but I guarantee you, like I put in our text, he's going to get a 4-year deal. He's going to get a 4-year deal.
4 years.
Maybe 3 with an option for the third. 2 years. Bron probably signs 2-year deal. Bronny signs 3, option third. I think that's what's going to happen.
I guess. I mean, like at this point, Rudy, it's probably not going to get paid that much. Clearly, his dad makes a ton of money, so it's not going to matter. I don't know, Rudy. I just don't love the look. Just draft someone because you really want them. Now, we do know that with the Bucks, right? They've signed the brother of Giannis. Like, he doesn't even play. I don't think I've ever even seen him on the court.
Well, he plays. He does play. It's garbage time, but he plays.
And I'm sure he does. No disrespect to him. But really, this whole situation where you're warning teams, don't draft him because he's going to go to Australia, I don't care. Dude, the guy averaged 4 points a game, Rudy.
Yeah.
There's people who have averaged more points and are getting undrafted. He got invited to the combine.
But you don't have that last name.
The kid from North Carolina State, what's his name, Rudy? The one that kind of reminds me of Zach Randolph.
DJ Burns.
He wasn't invited to the combine. Are you kidding me? Not even an invite, Rudy. He lost a ton of weight, by the way. Kudos to him. But it just goes back to LeBron James. That's my son. I want him on the Lakers. And a guy who averaged 4 points a game.
Yeah.
Skip Bayless almost averaged much. Hey, look, Skip, that whole debate a few years ago. Do you remember what happened with him and Jalen Rose? And he made that comment about Skip, about him averaging what was it, like
1.9 or something like that.
Something like that for Skip Bayless. But listen, I wish Bronny the best though. It's not his fault, Rudy. I wish him all the best, and I really hope he does succeed. I just don't love the fact that LeBron's camp saying all this stuff coming out. Why? Just draft him and that's it. Why do we? If he goes to Australia again, who cares? Good luck.
But that's where I come in, and that's what I was saying is why are you so scared as a general manager or a VP of operations of an agent? I mean, just draft the kid. If it's me, I said, if I'm the Spurs at 48, I'm like, you know what? F it. I'm going to take Bronny James. Rich Paul's going to call me. I told you don't take him. He's not going to play for you. No problem. No problem. We can have him on our private jet, send him to Australia where he wants to play. But if you want him to play in the NBA, either signs with us or a trade's made. And since it's the Lakers, what are they offering?
Well, just like someone brought up in the NFL, Rudy, and someone's like, well, this also happened, in the NFL, because I think someone made a point where it hasn't happened. Look, Eli Manning, for what it's worth, they still had a trade for him, Rudy.
Yeah.
They still had a trade. So,
but you know what? Who was the guy who was I'm trying to remember. I have Ernie Ernie. I can't remember the GM's name, but was it Ernie Zampese?
I think
I can't remember offhand, but basically it's what it is. Draft him. Who cares? I'm gonna draft you. And that's exactly what the Chargers did. I'm drafting you. And if you want to go to New York, no problem. Go to New York. But New York's got to pay me something for you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the thing. It's a second round pick. Just draft him in the second round. You're not guaranteed a contract. There's nothing there. So what do you have to lose? Draft him and you have his rights. You keep his rights for a little bit. Oh, well, big deal. Hey, Bron, guess what? We have Bronny's rights for 3 years. Can you play another 3 years before your son can make it to the NBA? Probably not. So That's what I'm saying. I'm going to play the a-hole in all this and just draft him and say, if you really want him, send me something for him. I mean, I think that's the ideal way to go. Not get threatened by Rich Paul.
It would have been interesting if the Boston Celtics would have drafted Bronny, right? The whole big time rival, right? But I would have wished that some NBA teams say, you know what? I don't give a damn what you say. I'm drafting Bronny James. And what would have happened, because they, obviously they still own the rights, right? For several years until he gets back. But, already, I was slightly surprised though. I kind of felt like they weren't going to draft him, but I guess when it happened, I was like, whoa, they actually did it. So listen, again, I want to repeat, it's nothing against Bronny. I actually hope he's successful, because I think being able to obviously learn from his dad, I just don't like how the team kind of went about that and threats and stuff like that. And a lot of stuff has come out the last few weeks, but congrats and welcome to the NBA.
Yeah, that's whatever. Hold Honey Brosses would have been great. LA can't take him, but they're not giving up something. Exactly. I mean, hold him hostage. Why not? I mean, there's nothing in the rules that says I can't take a player and not have him play.
Could the Lakers have given something on their roster?
If
they probably would have given up a little bit more than what they probably should have, Rudy.
So, I'm going to throw a scenario out there. If you're the Spurs and you take him at 48, Lakers would be like, hey, Rich Paul's like, well, what the hell? I told you don't draft him. No worries. You want to go to LA? Okay, cool. How about you give me the 55th pick coming up, and maybe another second rounder next year. I mean, better than nothing.
Yeah.
You then, oh, okay, well, we'll make that happen. We'll make that trade in principle. So there, he's gone. You get an extra pick next year in what's an absolutely loaded draft class. I mean, like I said, what's the worst thing that could happen? He just doesn't play in the NBA at all. Big
Exactly.
deal. Oh, the Spurs are ruining, this great moment for the Lake. Who gives a shit? Like, for real, who cares? You're there to benefit your own team. That's the part that I didn't have. This clutch Rich Paul need to be put in their place. This is out of control force on the NBA. We've been saying it all night, Jeff. We've been saying it all night long about the whole clutch sports and Rich Paul thing. I mean, and I know earlier we had a guy from on YouTube. Let me see if I can get his comment. Empire Jeff TV made a comment, said that, it's every agency does it. And I get it. Every agency is going to force their client to go somewhere. They're going to try to get their client to the best position possible, best place possible. But you should never strong arm an organization, period. If they want to take them, let them take them. Just deal with the consequences. Make a trade for them. Do whatever you have to do. If you want them that bad, you're going to pay up.
No, yeah. I mean, and really, we saw what happened to Jim Kelly's another one, right? He gets drafted by, was it Tampa Bay? I'm not mistaken, Rudy.
I think it was.
It was a team. He ends up going to Canada, or not the Canada, but I think the USFL. I believe, if I got that story right. Obviously, as a coming back, he goes to the Bills. But look,
John Elway.
John Elway.
I mean, you see it happen, but the problem is, Gio, is that those guys got drafted regardless. And then they somehow got compensated.
I would have hoped the team would say, you know what? I'm going to call bluff here, and let's see. If he goes to Australia for 3 years, we don't care because it's 3 years. And if you want him, LeBron either have to come here and play with him, right? Or you give us some assets. Really, I don't understand why nobody pulled the plug. I just don't get why no NBA team said, hey, you know what? Okay, give us something for it. We'll see what happens, Clutch Sports.
Well, and that's where it comes in from what we're talking about. Did the NBA step in?
I was just thinking in my mind, did the NBA step in and say, hey, don't draft Bronny? Because you can't tell me that Boston or some other team that I could definitely see antagonizing and don't like the Lakers, nobody thought about, hey, you know what? Let's draft them and let's see what we can get. Unless the good old NBA stepped in, which is very possible, Rudy, and said, hey, you know what? Just leave him alone. I know you want to draft him and you want to draft him, but just leave him alone and let him go to the Lakers. Very possible that the NBA stepped in. And I guess it is what it is.
It almost is what it is, man. Give us D'Angelo for Bronny and a pick. No, I don't want D'Angelo Russell in San Antonio. Definitely not. If you're a team GM and clutch Rich Paul bucks up, he deserve threatening to send Bronny overseas, would you still pick him? That's what we've been saying, Jeff.
Yeah.
We're saying we would draft him. You know what? What's the worst that can happen? I don't owe you anything. You don't remember, second round picks are not guaranteed contracts. So I don't owe you anything. Go overseas. Bye.
If he wants to go to Australia with those crazy insects and animals, hey, be my guest, dude. We'll see you in 3 years, right? So I don't really, I wish, but really it's very possible now that you put that in my head, the NBA may have stepped in here to have a, I guess, quote unquote moment for the NBA opening night, right? It's great for TV, Rudy, right? Because we've seen it in baseball.
I told you.
Ken Griffey Jr., or yes, senior to junior, and then obviously other players as well. And the NBA's never had this. So what is it? It's, of course, ratings, right? Butts in the seats in LA, selling tickets, all that. It's good, even though his son might not even play. Because really, honestly, his measurables, at least right now, he's got to put on some more weight. He's not particularly big. I mean, I just don't see it right now. And hey, I could be wrong. Could be a few years. He kind of gets that man body like many players do. But right now, I just don't see it. But if you're just drafting him, they're just drafting him just to play with his dad. And look, I don't want to be that that guy,
Be
Rudy.
that guy. Be
Be
that guy
that
because
guy who
I'm
wants to
that
be.
guy right now.
It's like, well, look, just give him a shot. You never know. Maybe he averages, but Rudy, 4 points a game,
Yeah.
26% from 3-point land at USC. Now, Rudy, he did have some issues there. Did he get sick for a while?
Yeah, he
I
had the
believe.
heart
Yeah.
cardiac arrest, which
So,
I get that. I get that part too. I mean, I'm not gonna down the guy because he had,
but Rudy, could he
he
have
had
gone back to school and then
that
maybe
is
15 points a game for a school? And then we say, hey, you know what? Okay. What's the matter
this
with going back to school just for one more year?
this was the perfect case of this is where the perfect case of NIL comes into factor. You are Bronny James. You're gonna get a good NIL deal somewhere. Go back to school, and there was even talks people that, well, he wouldn't even play it, he wouldn't have been able to play it at UConn. Okay, so don't go to UConn. Who cares? Don't even go back to USC, just transfer out. Plenty of other schools would have taken Bronny James. I mean, you know what? If you want to go play for a good coach, one that can help you succeed, right? That desperately needs a person there right now, go to University of Tennessee, Rick Barnes. He's got a history of putting guys in the NBA, putting them in good positions to win and to be winners. So, I mean, there's no reason. I mean, if you want to go to blue blood school, go to Kentucky. Go somewhere where they're going to give you a hell of an NIL deal for just 1 year. Prove yourself. That's all it is.
Well, listen, there were some talks maybe because I think he did go into the portal. Listen, Oregon was there, Ohio State, UCLA, SMU had in. I mean, just so many other programs that already. Who knows? Maybe he improves his jump shot. Maybe he goes in, scores more points, improves his game. What's the problem there? I just don't. Why do you have to go to the NBA so fast, dude? When you didn't barely play?
I don't know, man. I mean, again, we could give flack to Milwaukee for taking AJ Johnson in the first round. That was definitely, a head scratcher. But I understand the Bronny part. I mean, it's like we said, was kind of drafted, developing skills somewhere. He's got to develop them somewhere, Renee. I mean, we totally agree with that. He's got to develop them, and even another year at USC, even though USC had a very down year, they had a really good team on paper. Just staying in college one more year, Gio, I mean, would have done wonders for Bronny James. I mean, if he comes out next year averaging 10 points a game, 4 assists, maybe 4 rebounds, maybe gets to about 30% shooting, okay, then you're like, okay, as a scout, I'm thinking, okay, you played like shit the first year. You came back pretty strong. Okay, I can see the development. You have nothing to measure Bronny James on off of his high. He wasn't even very high. He wasn't scouted that much in high school. He wasn't highly touted. So you have nothing to go off of. Period.
No, it's comes down to, as we talked about, who his father is. But I would love to see him go back, go for one more year. And, Rudy, I wouldn't even have mind him going to Australia or going to play overseas. Because, Rudy, we've seen some players go there, come back, and be really serviceable players. That's nothing wrong with that. But listen, he's going to be on the NBA roster. And where does he get his minutes at, Rudy? I don't. Because you look at the Lakers roster, I mean, sure, they do need obviously more help and more shooters. He can't shoot the ball right now. He's a poor shooter. So where are you going to help out in areas? Because look, we always talk about skill sets, right? Different guys have different things, and not everybody is going to be a great 3-point shooter. There may be some guys better at the mid-range, good rebounder, right? All that stuff. But what is he going to help you in right now? He's just going to be that attraction, right? Man, that's LeBron James' son. Let's go buy some tickets, right? That's what's happening. And the NBA may have stepped in, which wasn't the first time. We know they stepped in on Chris Paul in the trade. So, and I'm sure there's been other times as well.
The 4-letter network pumped that pick up pretty good. Everybody, what have I said before on the show, Gio? I've said it plenty of times. No matter how much you polish a turd, it's still a turd. And that's the way that this pick was. It was definitely a very bad pick by the LA Lakers. Do you think Bronny still goes to the G League or Kletchik, Paul OBJ going to Knicks? He's got to go to the G League. I mean, I can't see them keeping him on the roster. So I can because Milwaukee keeps Thanasis on the roster. So I can see him being on the roster. But if does LA have the same type of players that Milwaukee has? No, they don't. I mean, not the people surrounding their 2 stars. So I just can't see them giving up a roster spot for him in the entire season. I think he does go to the G League. But then again, Jeff's right. Does Rich Paul, LBJ? I mean, do they allow him to go to the G League, Joe? I don't think so. I don't see it.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet. We got to see. I'm assuming is he going to play in summer league, Rudy? I would assume so. I mean,
I sure as hell hope so, man.
Are they going to protect him that much to the point where we won't even see him until potentially preseason if he obviously plays?
I think summer league starts next week or in a couple weeks.
I would hope he's there, Rudy. I mean, Rudy, like you said, a roster spot. Who are they going to remove? Like, they need all the help they can get. This is a team that, look, they obviously made the postseason, but let's be real, Rudy, they need a lot of help, and they're going to make obviously more moves. But from looking at the roster right here, Rudy, I don't see him replacing anybody. I mean, not even Spencer Dinwiddie. Like, I'm just looking down the list here of who he might be able to replace, and I just don't see. I mean, not Jalen. It's just I can't give you. So, I mean, Rudy, if he's on the roster and not playing anything and not doing nothing and just sitting there, I mean,
I like how you're speechless on this, though. Everybody's speechless. But we knew it was going to happen. It was obvious he was going to be a Laker, Gio. It was obvious.
It was, but as the draft went on, I was like, oh, you know what? I think he's going to go undrafted. And now we got Rich Paul threatening us all on X. And then actually they drafted him. Like,
it is what it is, man.
Most kids, Rudy, if their father or their one of their parents is super successful, normally they're not as successful, right? Like, we see it all the time. Like, Michael Jordan kids, Rudy, let's be real.
Jordan, yeah.
Like, now, obviously, Ken Griffey Sr. was a very good player, and Ken Griffey, I mean,
he was okay.
Yeah,
Junior was okay. He held his own. He was all right.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah. So it's like, look, you got to look at all the possibilities, but Rudy, I just don't. I don't see it. I could be wrong, but I hope Bronny is a serviceable player. He plays 10 years in the league, but something tells me that may not be the case.
You're terrible because you always try to look at the best in players. Like,
I try, Rudy, because you know why? I don't want to be that guy that says something, and then 5 years down the road, they said, look what Gio said about so-and-so. I'll never forget, Rudy. Cooper Kupp comes out the draft. Steve Smith said, or Steve Smith from the Carolina Panthers receiver said, this is the best receiver in the draft. Some 2 clowns have the nerve to disrespect Steve Smith and say he doesn't know anything. He's a clown. They're laughing at him. Cooper Kupp, I don't have to say anything about that. Right. No. So the rest is, so I don't like being that person, Rudy, where somebody can rewind and say, hey, like Gio said, Daniel Jones is a franchise quarterback.
I said that. I'm not gonna lie. I said that.
And we still debate that every chance we get. He's a.
You can't. I know. Okay, wait a minute. We're gonna revisit
QB
that.
Of a franchise, yes.
Yeah, we're gonna revisit that because my exact words, and I think we still have it on Facebook from way back then. My exact words are Daniel Jones will be the best quarterback in this draft when it's all said and done. That is still very debatable, considering Kyler Murray is the only other quarterback in that draft that's worth the damn.
Well, Kyler, listen, as his height does limit him to a certain extent. Also, he plays a lot of video games, which is not wrong. He just had that weird clause in his contract. Yeah. I do think, though, can we agree Kyler's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones?
I will give you he's probably overall the better quarterback. But Is he the best quarterback in that draft? I don't think so. It's still debatable, man. We got to go. We got to go in here in a little bit. We're going to stay on a little bit longer here. We only go for an hour. We'll give another 5 or 6 minutes here, but we got to get Gio's take on the San Antonio Spurs, man. We got Jeff in here. Here's a thought and question. Spurs got Castle, great, awesome, but is he the answer to the point guard spot for the current rebuild? That's a great question, Jeff. We were actually going to start talking about the Spurs on the last segment. Last segment of Sweep the League tonight, brought to you by La Cocina Taco Truck. I'm going to be out there this weekend, Gio. I'm going to have a taco. I'm going to send you a picture because
I was
apparently
just
they have
about
a
to say,
helping.
take a picture. Also, I'm going to send you a address so I can try some of that tea you keep drinking all the time. Looks
I need
so
your
good.
address. You don't give me the address.
I
I
know,
got to
I
get
know.
you the address. I'm not going to just send it to Indiana and hope it gets to you, man. I can't
No,
do
I know.
anything like that.
I know.
Stephon Castle. So obviously the Spurs, Spurs did what Spurs they ended up drafting Stephon Castle at number 4. They ended up drafting Rob Dillingham, who ended up being shipped to Minnesota for picks that are in 2030 and 2031. We got everybody freaking out on that one, but we'll get to that in a second here. Second round, they ended up trading with, I believe it was Indiana. They ended up drafting Furphy out of Kansas, but then the trade was made with Indiana. So the Spurs got Juan Nunez, point guard from overseas, and then Harrison Ingram from the University of North Carolina. Shout out Tar Heels. I like the second rounders right there for them. I think Nunez is going to be still of a project, maybe a draft and stash guy. Harrison Ingram going to be a lot in the G League as well. Stephon Castle, man. Earlier, I made the comment that Stephon Castle is going to bring everything that he's got to the table. He's a national championship winner. Definitely is going to improve his shooting. He can get to the basket, brings great defense to the team. Is he the complete answer for the Spurs to the point guard spot? I'm going to say that's an incomplete for me. I still don't know. It's debatable for me. I've got to see how he plays with them, but I think he's going to be a little bit better than what we have in Trey Jones right now in San Antonio, Joe.
Yeah, Rudy, not sure yet. Got to see more. But Rudy, we can agree it feels like a Spurs guy, right? Like you watch him play. He really, really good playmaker. Great feel for the game. You watch him play, especially in the tournament, Rudy. Man, just Connecticut as a whole obviously played very well. But Rudy, he came into his own, had a really good tournament, showed a lot, can finish at the rim. We all know what he can do. Obviously improving that 3-point shot. I'm not sure yet, Rudy. I want to see more from him, but I love what he's made of. And that he's just a Spurs guy. We could definitely see that. And I'm sure he's going to be working his offseason tremendously. Already, obviously, he's been working on that shot. He said his shot's fine, right? You just got to look. Once you're in the NBA, you're going to shoot more threes. You can blame Steph Curry, Rudy, on that. He's going to shoot more. He's going to improve. And listen, he's playing with, I know Rudy doesn't love this word, a generational talent. And Victor, he's going to give him more opportunities to shine because that guy is in his own right. I just can't wait to see what Victor does in the next several years. Mm-hmm. But I just got to see more. Trey Jones, I don't think he's the answer either, Rudy.
But they had more success with Trey Jones.
They did, but just long term,
long term, no.
No, it's like right now, sure, right? And Castle, he could start midway through the season, as we talked about yesterday in the draft. So not right now, but I'm really looking forward to his game because I definitely think, Rudy, there's some upside there to be a really good player. Do you think his ceiling is an all-star, Rudy? Do you think that's where it do you see? Because he's obviously going to have to take that leap, right? It's going to have to be a progression. I think right now, probably, I'm thinking no, but do you think his high floor ceiling is a potential all-star in this game, playing with Victor, and obviously his game is going to improve? What do you think? What does that look like his ceiling-wise?
So ceiling-wise, I think I can maybe see him making an all-star team later on. Depends on his development. If he can develop a jumper and a consistent jumper, especially beyond the arc, I think you have the possibility of him making an all-star team eventually. But knowing out west, knowing you've got guys like Steph Curry, you've also got guys like John Morant. You've got so many guys, De'Aaron Fox, who, FYI, Derek Irvin is screaming in my ear every single day that De'Aaron Fox will be would possibly be a San Antonio Spur in summer 2025. So keep that in mind. We're going to just throw that out there right now. He's a free agent coming up in 2025. But you've got De'Aaron Fox. You got Jamal Murray, Gio. I mean, you've got Luka Doncic. I mean, you've got Kyrie Irving. So to say that he could make an all-star team, it's going to take a lot for Stephon Castle to make an all-star team, knowing that a lot of these top guards are going to be in the West for a very, very long time. I mean, I think all-star probably it's his ceiling. I think he has potential to make an all-star team. So, yeah, I would say all-star is probably his ceiling right now. Jeff says, so is there a point guard controversy in San Antonio, Jones versus Castle? I don't think there's so much of a controversy, Gio. I think it's just more of a when he takes over. So if Jeff, if you remember, it's going to go back to when Tony Parker was drafted. Antonio Daniels started that first few games, and then Pop gave the keys to Tony and said, run with it. I think we're going to kind of see the same thing here. More than likely, I think Trey Jones is going to start as a starter for point guard for the San Antonio Spurs. And then you'll see Stephon Castle come in. Don't be surprised, Gio, if we possibly see Stephon and Trey in the backcourt together with Devin at the 3. I mean, that
very
could be
possible. I mean, look, Rudy, he's 6'5", so
Mhm.
it's real possible you could see them, and I'm sure Spurs will experiment throughout the season, different types of lineups. But I think Castle, as Rudy said, ceiling definitely. I could definitely see, because Rudy, if you're playing alongside Victor,
Mhm.
right, and Victor in his peak prime, and I just, like I've been saying, it's just so exciting to even think about what we saw last year, what we are going to see in the next several years as he comes into his own and he starts to grow, mature, man body, all that. The Spurs are bound to have, I think, another all-star. Who that's going to be, obviously, time will tell. But I think Castle, I think he'll fit in. He's a Spur. Regardless, Rudy, I think we're going to see him in a Spurs uniform for quite some time. I think I don't see him getting shipped out at least no time soon within the next few years.
Yeah. So real quick before we go, Joe, number 8, Rob Dillingham, he was traded. We heard from Jeff Garcia yesterday saying that when the pick was made, Spurs fans were happy. When they announced that it was being traded to Minnesota, they started packing up their bags and taking off because they were pissed off. So I fully understand Spurs fans' concerns and gripes and everything. I fully understand it. Majority of Spurs fans want to win now because Victor wants to win now. I've always been on the side of, whatever happens, happens. I don't understand. So this is my thing. I don't understand the picks in return for 8, but I understand moving 8. Rob Dillingham was one of the explosive players in this draft. I think you could have got a veteran with picks somewhere in there. And not to say that maybe no team offered it, maybe they couldn't get another offer from another team at that point. But what is the harm? And again, it frees up $7 million. So it basically what I'm saying is it came down like it was a panic trade that they know they had to move number 8 because they wanted to free up some cap space. And they just kind of took whatever came through. And as Brian Wright said, well, that was probably, that was one of the best deals that we had on the table.
Yeah, listen, I get. Listen, we need players, right? We need to continue to improve. You have Victor there, and Rudy, we've gone back and forth, throughout the last several months. Do the Spurs go in now, next season, yada, yada. I get it. I'll say this, Rudy, it was crazy on X because from the moment I woke up pretty early this morning, all you saw was, I hate the management, fire him, do this, do that. They're making fun of his photos. I mean, people really went all in on him last night. And I do understand Spurs fans. It's a rich tradition, championships. But let's be real, Rudy. The Spurs aren't winning a championship anytime soon. There's a lot that goes into that. And I would rather save money now. And then obviously 2025, you obviously have more opportunities. Still would love to get some sort of star in here.
Yeah.
Not sure what that looks like, but draft pick wise, I guess, listen, save the money. We'll love Don Connect. I mean, that would have been a dream scenario. A shooter there with Victor, Rudy, it's just beautiful, but hey, you saved the extra money. And really, who knows? 2031, we don't know. Maybe the Timberwolves are garbage, Rudy, and we get the second pick, right? Like, once upon a time, the Lakers won the championship, but didn't they get the number one pick and got James Worthy? I mean,
Yeah,
so look, who knows who's going to be available at that? It's a long time from now. I mean,
it is.
Rudy might be the mayor of San Antonio
Oh
in
no, hope
2031.
not. I sure as hell hope not.
Maybe Jeff's a mayor. I don't know.
Maybe Jeff Garcia, probably mayor of San Antonio in 2030, 2031. I definitely could see that. But, this is my question. I'm going to leave everybody off on this. So, again, I get the pissed off fans. I've seen Twitter as well, seen social media, both Instagram. I've seen, TikTok. I saw a couple of TikToks. I've seen Facebook. But here's what I'm going to leave everybody off with is, again, I get the frustration part. You could have got probably a better deal than 2 picks, 6 years and 7 years down the road. But those picks are actually somewhat valuable because you can use those to package them in another deal, which I get. Plus, you have an extra $7 million. But for those that are saying, well, this is BS because the Spurs want to win now, because they want to win this, because, they need to compete now. Okay, frustration. I get it. But my question to everybody out there who was on this side of the fence or jumped in and went to the other side of the fence, if you go and get a Paul George right now, knowing you're probably going to have to give up a Keldon Johnson, and you go get a Paul George, does Paul George immediately make you a championship team? No. No matter what the Spurs do this offseason, because everybody believes so much in the current roster that they just feel a couple of moves is going to make a big difference. Go get a Paul George then. And then if you want, go get a Klay Thompson. Go spend the money and trade the assets away that you have to get all the players to win now. How many times, and I beg everybody out there to do that, how many times has a team gone all in and won now?
The Los Angeles Rams.
In the NBA. Because the Florida Marlins did it 1 year. But in the NBA, how many teams has gone all in and won now? Now, don't give me the debacle BS of the Golden State Warriors getting Kevin Durant on an already 73-win team. But name me a team that went into the offseason, gave up all their assets, brought in all these stars to win now. Hell, the Miami Heat didn't win right away doing that.
You're right, Rudy. I'm trying to think of a team. The Bulls got Dennis, but they already had Jordan. I'm trying to think.
They were already
there. There's really no
team to come from the bottom, stack the squad, and go win it away.
It normally takes a few years. Like LeBron obviously finally broke through.
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers did get Shaq, but it took several years getting swept, right, to finally get through. So it takes time. But Paul George, that would be a terrible move if they even thought about getting George right now, at least.
Yeah, for as much money as he wants. Yeah, that would be a terrible move. So I leave that with everybody out there. I mean, it doesn't happen. Even if you go get a stacked team, like I said, don't give me the Warriors squad because they already had won. But if you go get a stacked team, when does it? I mean, it doesn't happen right away. So then I ask this: why not wait 1 more year? Just get players to fit your system right now. You know what you have in Victor. Build around him. Just get a couple of players now. Go in the right direction.
And listen, what Victor is going to be an attraction. There's going to be players, Rudy, who are going to want to play with him. It's just he's going to make life easier. Imagine Luka and Victor. Rudy, that would. I mean, obviously that's probably not going to happen. But Luka and Victor Wembanyama, and just add role players. So
but even that squad's going to take time.
That's what
I'm saying.
Time.
It doesn't happen right away. I mean, it doesn't happen.
And even what me and Derek talked about, building, getting a potential another big piece, that still doesn't mean I'm not saying the Spurs are going to get to the finals, even with a big piece this offseason. It's going to take several years. Spurs fans, I get it. You're used to winning. But really, several years ago, when
Mhm.
Ginobili left and the Spurs were getting that losing stuff, I said, listen, I'm content. It's going to be I told myself a long rebuild.
Mhm.
A long rebuild. So I started to focus on the Georgia Bulldogs, Rams, all that other stuff because focus on your other teams, everyone. Go focus on the Cowboys, the Texans, whatever
Oh,
team you
man.
found. Because the Spurs, I'm sorry, is going to take some time. They're not winning any championships anytime soon. I'm
No.
sorry, Spurs fan. You can echo this tomorrow morning. You're not winning right now, but that's okay. We're building something special. And you can be upset because even last night, Rudy, we were surprised. I mean, you trade that pick, man, you could have really got someone. But hey, you know what? As Joe Embiid once said, trust the process.
Trust the process. And, again, do I think they're done in the offseason? No, they're not
Oh,
done. I feel they're going to make another move somewhere. And again, it could be a veteran role player like Tobias Harris. It could be a big name superstar. We don't really know until it happens. But again, it's not going to move the needle that much to where you can say they are instantly better than the Denver Nuggets. They're instantly better than the Boston Celtics. There's a lot of teams already in place that no matter who you bring in, they're not title contenders. So then where's the satisfaction? Play in, play off? That's going to be a topic for tomorrow, man. What is the satisfaction of Spurs fans out there? Where does that leave them? What is say, okay, I can crack open my beer. I can drink it now. I'm happy because we were competing for a play-in spot. You have people that are pissed off on that too. But we're going to save that for tomorrow, man. We'll leave everybody on that cliffhanger here, like they do on TV shows all the way around the world. They leave you on a little cliffhanger. So we talked about Spurs, talked about NBA draft stuff. We give you our best winners and losers. Gio came on, echoed everything I said about the Los Angeles Lakers and Bronny James. Bronny, we don't wish you any bad luck or anything. We wish you a very successful NBA career, but it's going to be tough in our eyes, man. So until tomorrow, man, for Derek Irvin, for Coach Gio, for Ben Bornstein, for Rocky, Shemaya, and Mark, stats out there. This is Sweep the League, man. And again, appreciate everybody joining last night for NBA Draft. If you want to go back and check out all of our analysts for every single pick in the first round, go back to our YouTube pages at Sweep the League TV. Subscribe, man. We're still got to give stuff away. Tomorrow's Friday. We're going to have to pick a winner tomorrow, Gio, to give something away. So we'll do it tomorrow on the show for the Friday edition of Sweep the League. But until then, go and subscribe and shout out to MCS General Contracting, La Cocina Taco Truck. I'll be there this weekend. We'll see you guys tomorrow, knuckleheads.